Dear students, it's an auspicious welcome to all of you here in this presentation today. Once again, I'm Dr. Atul Suryawanshi, College Patsora, District Jalgaon of Maharashtra State, before you with this presentation on the novels. Yesterday, we studied the third module and the first topic entitled novels. That means fiction. Under fiction, now we are studying the novels here. So, in the previous period, we studied about the novels as per the chronological sequence of the ages. Means that was the age-wise study of the select important novelists and the novels in English. Today we are going to study the same genre, novel, from award-winning point of view. Means this presentation is classified, divided into three segments. The first is Sahitya Academy Award-winning novels. The second, Booker Prize-winning novels, and the third, Nobel Prize-winning novels. So, which are very much important for the sake of examination because, very classic literature, classic novels has been pinpointed during the exam. And so is the reason, this is what we say, select this is the select study of the novels. But this is again like iceberg which has been unexplored. We have to go deeper and deeper because which we are dealing today here in this presentation is merely a sample. And much detailed study is there. Means we have to search out the ocean of the knowledge. I'm presenting iceberg today. So without delaying, without wasting the time, let us initiate this presentation today, the very first slide. Let's begin with the Sahitya Academy Award-winning novels. Now, what is Sahitya Academy? Let's have a fleeting glance at the very first slide. Sahitya Academy Award is a literary award in India, which the Sahitya Academy means India's National Academy of Letters annually confers on the writers of the most outstanding books of literary merit published in any of the 22 languages of the 8th schedule of the Indian Constitution, as well as in English. And this award has been established in 1954, initiated in the year 1954, remember this. And this award comprises a plaque, copper plaque, and a cash prize of 1 lakh rupees. So this is the general information about this award. This is the topmost award in India regarding literature. One more award is there, Gyanpith Award. But we are restricted here in this presentation of this award only. So the first novel that we are going to study here, we are going to study select novels. Sahitya Academy Award-winning novels in English. The first novel is The Guide, which published in 1958, written in Indian writing in English, along with Raja Rao and Mulk Raj Anand and R.K. Narayan, the trio, who laid the foundation of Indian writing in English, and he received award in 1960. So like most of the works, the novel is based on Malgudi, The fictional town in South India. The novel describes the transformation of the protagonist. In my previous lecture, I told you the meaning of the word protagonist. Protagonist means the central character. Raju is the central character of this novel. From a tour guide to a spiritual guide, and then one of the greatest holy men of India. So, this is the transformation of Raju from an ordinary person to a great man. So, this novel has a symbolic interpretation implication also. An average man can be a great man with the help of the guide. So, guide is very essential in the life. As we pursue the research, we have also guides for our research proposals. So is the reason the significance of the guide has been pinpointed here in this novel. And I hope that is the sole reason why R.K. Narayan received this award in 1960. It's a very important novel. So without wasting the time, let us turn toward the next slide here in the series, the second novel. One of the important pioneers in Indian writing in English, as I told you, there was trilogy, the great trio, and one of them was Raja Rao. The important novel, again the title of this novel is quite symbolic, Serpent and the Rope. Now serpent is a snake and rope, as we know it quite well, as is a string tied. This novel was published in 1960. So serpent is the actual object and rope is in the form of illusion of the serpent. So the title of the novel is symbolic. This novel received award in 1964. Portrays the meeting of the East and the West through the story of Rama, an Indian, and Madeline, a French girl. Both meet at a university shortly after the World War. Theme of the novel is self-knowledge, self-transcendence, and self-fulfillment. So most of the works of Raja Rao, they focus religious theme, metaphysical theme, and so many elements of Indianness are also there in the novels of Raja Rao. So Raja Rao received Sahitya Akademi in 1964 for Serpent and Rope, the novel which he published in 1960, is one of the important novels in Indian writing in English. So this is the second novel. Let's proceed further towards the third novel, which is presented here in the slide, is A Morning Face. So Morning Face is a novel written by Mulk Raj Anand, one of the important trio among Raja Rao, R.K. Narayan, and this third person, Mulk Raj Anand, who laid foundation in Indian writing in English. And this 1968. This novel won the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1971. This novel features Mulk Raj Anand's autobiographical narrative that was first used by him in Seven Summers for the very first time. It delivers the story through a personalized telling of the late independence era politics and history. So most of the works of Mulk Raj Anand, at that time was the time of independence. So many people were fighting for Indian freedom movement, and after receiving freedom, the same reflection of the Indian freedom movement was there in Indian literature. It is presented in Morning Face, and this novel received Sahitya Akademi Award in 1971 and a novel published in 1968. One of the important novels. I acquainted you with trilogy, means Raja Rao, R.K. Narayan, and Mulk Raj Anand simultaneously here in this presentation. So without wasting the time, let's proceed further towards the next novel here in this series, is Inside the Haveli. Inside the Haveli, which published in 1977, is a novel written by Rama Mehta, one of the women novelists in Indian writing in English. For this novel, Rama Mehta was conferred Sahitya Akademi Award in 1979. The story of the novel revolves around a young girl from Mumbai. She marries a son of a former Indian prince, and post marriage she recollects to Udaipur in Rajasthan. This novel expresses Gita's sympathetic nature towards the women in the Haveli and problems of the society. So, an effort has been made to illustrate the life inside the Haveli. This is some sort of feminist because the feelings and the sentiments of the woman are there. It is associated with the feminine sensibility. And so is the reason this novel received Sahitya Akademi Award in 1979. One of the important works in Indian writing in English. Let's proceed further towards the next novel here in this series. Is entitled as a Last Labyrinth. This novel is written by the great writer in Indian writing in English, Arun Joshi. So he is one of the important writers. And Arun Joshi was awarded Sahitya Akademi Award for this same novel in 1982. Now the question arises in my mind that what can be the meaning of this word in the title, given title, labyrinth. Labyrinth, what we call in Marathi, Chakravyuha. Okay, it is some sort of entanglement, puzzle, confusion, chaos, disorder. Okay, it is the mess and entanglement of relations that the writer wants to pinpoint here. So what is the story? Som Bhaskar is a millionaire. He is industrialist and married to a woman of his choice who has 2 children. Yet, relentlessly driven by undefined hunger, which he unsuccessfully seeks to satisfy by possession of an object, a business enterprise, of a woman, the novel deals with a man's endorsement with 4 stages of human life: dharma, artha, kam, and moksha, means salvation finally at the end of the life. So, in that sense, this novel is a metaphysical novel which deals with some element of Indian religion in India. So, the novel became quite popular. Arun Joshi received Sahitya Akademi Award for Last Labyrinth, one of the important novels in Indian writing in English. Almost all the writers, as the Sahitya Akademi is the Indian Academy of the Letters, and so is the reason all the novels are from India. Let's proceed further. After this novel, the next novel is The Golden Gate, written by Vikram Seth. So the novel published in 1986. This is the first novel ever written by Vikram Seth, the great writer in Indian writing in English. He received award for this novel in 1988. Love and survival are the central theme in Vikram Seth's novel. So these are the prominent and dominant theme most of the writers that deal with this feeling in the heart, love, and the survival, adjustment in the life. So what is the theme and the story about this novel? Let's have a fleeting glance here in the slide. John Brown, a young and successful engineer, outside his work and calls his ex-girlfriend Janet and grieves his loveless life. His life has become monotonous, dull, bored. The Golden Gate is on the whole story of John, who cannot get love in life and ends up much as the same way as he began, an abandoned human being. Means as he was before his life, at the end of the novel, the same condition is there. So this is the circle of the life. Man is in search of love continuously. which is the essence of the life, which is the backbone of life. It is the feeling of love alone on what human beings survive. And this is the central theme of this novel, The Golden Gate, written by Vikram Seth. So we observe that the prominent feelings in the heart of the human beings have been pinpointed in focus in almost all the novels in Indian writing in English. And so is the reason they receive awards, because these are the genuine feelings in the heart. So these feelings are very much important. So after The Golden Gate, written by Vikram Seth, let's turn toward the next novel here in this series, is Memories of Rain. Memories of Rain is written by Sunetra Gupta and published in 1992. This novel was awarded Sahitya Akademi Award, the Indian Academy of Letters, in 1996. A stream of consciousness, character-based novel about the thought of Moni, a Bengali-born wife of an English writer, that takes place over the weekend where she plans to escape with her daughter from her unhappy marriage. Moni knows Anthony, her husband, for 10 years. The present novel is a meditation of the East-West divide through the marriage of the beautiful Indian girl. So this feeling of the East and the West has been focused here in this novel. The entanglement of the relationship, the unhappy marriage knot, is the core theme of this novel, written by Sunetra Gupta, entitled Memories of Rain. And this novel received Sahitya Akademi, one of the prominent novels having the dominant theme in Indian writing in English. So, after reading all these novels, we come to know the reality that the sentiments and the feelings have been pinpointed by most of the writers who are from India and who write in English. Let's proceed further without wasting the time. The Memories of the Welfare State is again a very beautiful novel written by IS officer Upamanyu Chatterjee. So Memories of the Welfare State, was published in 2000, is an Indian novel by Upamanyu Chatterjee. He is the great writer as well as administrative officer. It won Sahitya Akademi Award in 2004. The novel focuses the story of a political bureaucracy in the fictional state of Madna when an epidemic breaks out. As we witness COVID-19, Corona, here all over the world, we suffer. The same problem has been focused here in this novel. And as the writer himself was the administrative officer, the bureaucratic system has been studied throughout the novel. It is the masterwork of satire. Satire is ridicule, irony, which is the mode of speech in which the real meaning is exactly the opposite of that which is literally suggested in the text. So this is satire by the major writer at the height of his powers. So most of the time what happens, it is well said in English that power corrupts and absolute power tends to corrupt absolutely, has become the rule of this land. And the bureaucratic system has been studied and verified here in this present novel because the writer himself is a great officer, is a super classman officer, Upamanyu Chatterjee. And the feelings are also very great here in this novel. The next is Chronicle of a Corpse Bearer. Is a 2012 novel written by Cyrus Mistry. Received award in 2015. It is set in the pre-independence era of India, and the novel is about the Parsi community of the corpse bearer who carried the dead bodies for burials in Bombay. So again, the problem of the minority communities has been pinpointed and focused here in this novel. So the Parsi people, they have their own way of life, their struggle, their sufferings, their problems, while leading their life in the metropolitan cities like Mumbai has been focused. And so is the reason this writer received Sahitya Akademi Award. The very cover page of this novel is in silver or in grayish color, which symbolically focuses and highlights the problem and sufferings of the Parsi community. Let's proceed further. The next novel, All the Lives We Never Live, is a novel by Anuradha Roy, published in 2018. In 2022, it was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award. The story is of the 9-year-old Meskin Rosario, whose mother Gayatri Sen Rosario leaves behind the comfort and familiarity of a marital home, the innocent love of her only child, and an indifferent husband. So this is the triangular relation that we observe here in this novel. That the husband is quite indifferent, he is not looking after and means not careful towards the wife. He is not shouldering the family responsibilities in the right way. And the woman, Gayatri, is entangled with the boy. She tries to establish her own identity. She tries to escape from this marriage knot. So this is what the central theme of this novel, written by Anuradha Roy, All the Lives We Never Live. Everyone wants freedom. Everyone wants to lead his life according to his or her own will. But it is not possible. So many family responsibilities are there, so many hustles and bustles, ups and downs are there in the life. We have to work for the bread and butter. So life is full of obstacles. This is the core theme. The struggle of the woman has been pinpointed and focused here in this novel. All the Lives We Never Live, written by Anuradha Roy. So my dear friends, let's proceed further towards the next novel here in the series. So we have finished here the description of the Booker, that means Sahitya Akademi Award. So an attempt has been made here to present the important novels for the study. I request you to study the remaining novelist and go in detail the remaining novels so that the content should become cemented, will become strong to get better results in the examination. As I told you in the very beginning of this presentation that what I'm presenting here right now is a merely iceberg. Just below the iceberg in the ocean, there is an unexplored mountain of the knowledge. So now it is your responsibility as the student to explore and to search that mountain of knowledge. So we are always with you in your struggle for quality. So let's begin the second category of this presentation, second section, Booker Prize for English Novels. You can see the picture. You can see the trophy that is visualized here in this presentation. The Booker Prize formerly known as the Booker Prize for fiction, and now it is known as the Man Booker Prize after 2002, is a literary prize awarded each year for the best novel written in English and published in the United Kingdom, especially in England or in Ireland, having the capital Dublin. The winner of the Booker Prize received £50,000. So the main concern of Booker Prize is England and English novels. So they have tried to maintain the quality of this award. £50,000 is the cash prize. So this is the general information about this award. Let's proceed further to study the select novels who receive Booker Prize for English writing. Now again, these are the sample presentation, remember. I'm not going to present each and every novel here. Select novels, which I feel important from the exam point of view, has been focused here. Now it is our responsibility, collective responsibility, to search in detail and to study all the remaining novels, because the classic literature has been asked in the examination. As NET and SET is the highly dynamic examination, state level and national level examination, and so is the reason they keep those exams always challenging. Let's study the first novel here, written by Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul, who received Nobel Prize in 2001 for literature. The novel entitled As in a Free State, published in 1971. The present novel describes the 400 miles road journey of two British expatriates, Linda and Bobby, across a newly independent African country in the throes of the tribal civil war. Their growing alienation from both Africa and each other, and their powerlessness to withstand, to tolerate the senseless violence. There are 3 stories in the novel. So the novel has been divided into 3 different sections. The very first section, One Out of Many, is the first section. The second is Tell Me Who to Kill. And the third is In a Free State, which is the title of this novel, written by V.S. Naipaul, Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul. One more work is there, The House for Mr. Biswas, which focuses the common man's struggle for survival and to build the house. Common people have common problems. And the great people have great problems in their lives. So the average people, they struggle for bread and butter. They struggle to get accommodation, their own house, their own home to live, shelter, relationship. They fumble. So Vidyadhar Suraj Prasad Naipaul focuses on the same reality through his literature. And so is the reason, In a Free State, this novel received Booker Prize in literature. The second novel is entitled as The Seas of Krishnapur. Is a novel by J.G. Farrell, was published in 1973. Inspired by the events such as the sieges of Kanpur and Lucknow during the Indian Rebellion of 1857, the book entails the siege of the fictional Indian town Krishnapur. As I told you, this is the first Indian freedom movement in 1857 from the perspective of the British residents. The common theme of this present novel is the decline of a British Empire and to fight for justice, to fight, to gain freedom. And so many people, they sacrificed their lives during the first war for independence, which is the various, so many names, different names were given. Indian Rebellion of 1857. Mangal Pandey showered billet on Major Hewson for the very first time and he was hanged up for his crime. Then Queen of Jhansi, 26 years old Queen of Jhansi, fought very bravely against British people. So Rose Yu himself accepted the reality that she was the ablest of the rebel leaders. Tatya Tope also became martyr. He sacrificed his life in Shipri, Madhya Pradesh. So many people, they lay down their lives for the sake of motherland, and India witnessed the first rebellion in 1857. So having this background, this is that Krishnapur is the fictitious town which focus this war of independence, the siege of Krishnapur, having Indian theme written. And so this novel received Booker Prize in English. Let's proceed further toward the second novel, Heat and Dust, which published in 1975, is a novel written by Ruth Pravar Zabwala that won the Booker Prize in 1975. Partly set in colonial India during 1920, the novel tells the story of Olivia in flashback technique. There are two techniques of narration, flashback and foreshadowing technique. The foreshadowing technique focuses on the future, flashback to the past. As we have that movie Titanic, narrated in flashback technique. So Olivia seems simply to be a proper English woman meets the Nawab, who instantly charms her, who tries to attract her, and gradually lets her into his life. She was deeply impressed by that Nawab. Olivia is drawn to the charm of the Nawab. She gets attracted towards him, and he slowly gains control over her. Olivia, at the end of the novel, eventually becomes pregnant with the Nawab's baby. And out of the child, and it was an illegitimate child, this causes scandal in the town of Satipur. So this is the theme of this novel, Heat and Dust. So this is the heat which indicates passion, and dust indicates character symbolically. So Heat and Dust is a prominent novel in Indian writing English, written by Ruth Zabwala, received Booker Prize in 1975. Let's proceed further towards the next novel in the series, The Sea, The Sea. The word has been repeated. The novel is written by the famous writer Iris Murdoch, published in 1978, won the Booker Prize for Literature in 1978. It is the story of the strange obsession that hound a self-satisfied playwright and director as he begins to write his memoir. Murdoch's novel exposes the motivations that drives her characters, the vanity, jealousy, and lack of compassion behind the disguises they present to the world. Is the story in general, The Sea, The Sea. Okay, having this background, so Murdoch is the prominent novelist who present realistic themes in the novels. So this novel received Booker again. Without wasting the time, let's proceed further towards the next novel here in the series, Rites of Passage, which published in 1980, written by William Golding. So it is an account of the 6-month voyage to Australia in the early 19th century by an assorted group of British migrants. The aristocratic Edmund Talbot embarks upon a new voyage to Australia and is keeping a detailed journal and account of his life on board a ship voyage from England to Australia. So this is what the theme of the novel, Rites of the Passage, published in 1980, written by William Golding. One more prominent work is there to focus on the highlights, Lord of the Flies, which he published in 1954. The very title of that novel is quite symbolic, which explains in the form of parable the two forces the good force and the evil force. Now, there is a continuous tussle between the good and the bad elements in the life. So, William Golding is a very clever and intelligent novelist who present varied themes of the human life in his writings. Let's proceed further. The next novel here in this series, Life and Times of Michael K., is a 1983 novel by J.M. Coetzee, won the Booker Prize in 1983. The novel is a story of a man named Michael K., who makes an arduous journey from Cape Town to his mother's rural birthplace. Amid a fictitious civil war during the apartheid era in 1970 up to 80. So this is what about Life and Time of Michael K. James Coetzee writes very prominent works to focus human sentiments. I remember here is another work entitled Disgrace that we are going to study in the coming next slides. James Coetzee received Nobel Prize in Literature for his exceptional themes in literature in 2003. So, without wasting the time, my dear friends, let's proceed further towards the next novel here in this series entitled Oscar and Lucinda. This is the novel written by the Australian author Peter Carey. And this novel won the 1988 Booker Prize. The novel tells the story about the two old gamblers, Oscar Hopkins, a preacher's son, and the second is Lucinda, a heiress who buys a glass factory. So the first one is abusive, and the other one is a compulsive gambler. Lucinda bets Oscar that he cannot transport a glass church from Sydney to a remote settlement in Bellingen, some 400 kilometers up to the New South Wales coast. So this bet, changes both their lives forever. In between, they fall in love with each other on their way to Australia. So this is the story of bet. This is the story of beautiful romantic love between Oscar and Lucinda, which has been presented by the Australian writer Peter Carey, received Booker Prize in 1988 for exceptional presentation in the English writing. The next is The English Patient, written by the famous writer Michael Ondaatje. This is the Booker Prize winning novel, written by this writer, and a movie has been made on this same theme of the novel, The English Patient. It was published in 1992. So Hannah is a young nurse, gardening in an Italian villa in 1945. The Germans left bombs and the mines buried everywhere, and many nurses and patients have fled. They ran away to safer places, but Hannah stays there. Her patient was found in the wreckage of a plane crash, and his whole body is burnt beyond recognition. A Badawi tribe found and cared for him, returning him to a British camp in 1944. He is very grateful. Hannah assumes he is in English and often reads to him. Sometimes she reads the book he carried with him. This is out of sheer sympathy. The feeling of love is also there in the heart. So this is the beautiful story of Hannah and the English Patient, which is presented by Michael Ondaatje, an exceptional theme that received Booker Prize for writing English. Let's proceed further toward the next novel in the series, having Indian theme, written by Arundhati Roy, the prominent writer in Indian writing in English. God of Small Things, published in 1997. The story takes place in Ayamanam, Kerala, in India. It is the story about the childhood experience of Istha and Rahel, twin brother and sisters. The sentiments of the children have been pinpointed, but again, this is quite symbolic, which presents the situation scenario in Kerala. The novel explores how small, seemingly insignificant things shape people's behavior and their lives. So, this work, God of Small Things, is from children's point of view. Istha and Rahel is very beautiful piece in English literature ever written. And so is the reason Arundhati Roy received Booker Award for this exceptional writing. Let's proceed further towards the next novel here in this series, written by James Coetzee, entitled Disgrace. This novel was published in 1999. The story follows Professor David Lewry, who is the central character. The protagonist of the story is a 52 years South African English professor who teaches in the University of Cape Town. He loses his job having affair with his student, the very beautiful student. Her name is Melanie Isaac. David Lurie reckons with his feelings about women, sex, race, age, and power after his sexual affair with the young students, which leads to his downfall. So, this is the story of a reputed professor, and this is the story of his downfall. So, in the very picture of this cover page of the novel, a dog has been shown. Means the condition of that man becomes like this. This is quite symbolic. So, James Coetzee presents the theme in an exceptional way in English literature. And David Lurie was very intelligent professor in the university. But there was a tragic flaw in his personality, and that was sex. There was passions. And so is the reason he falls in love with the beautiful student, Melanie Isaac, and loses his reputation, and the university expels him. And his own daughter also considers him as a blot, a disgrace for her. And she prefers to live with the rapist, but never with the father. This is disgrace for the society, a disgrace on the teaching profession. A very exceptional theme is presented in English. Let's proceed further towards the next novel here in this series, entitled Life of Pi. This is the story of Piskine Molitil Patel. It is a Canadian novel written by Jan Martel, published in 2001. There is a movie based on this novel. So it is a beautiful fantasy which won the Booker Prize in 2002. Life of Pi Patel tells the magical story of Pi, a 16 years old South Indian boy who finds himself shipwrecked and lost at the sea in the large lifeboat. His companions are 4 wild animals: an orangutan, a zebra, a hyena, and the most notably Richard Parker, a Bengali tiger. This name was asked at the time of examination. Richard Parker, the Bengali tiger. So Pai Patel survives at the sea with the Bengali tiger and struggles for the life for long 227 days. So this was the natural conflict. This is the conflict between an animal and a human being. This is the conflict between human beings and nature. And at the end of the novel, the tiger, without looking back towards Pai Patel, vanishes in the forest, leaving him forlorn. So this is unexpected ending of the novel, written by Jan Martel, which published in 2001, entitled Life of Pi. The very beautiful writing. Let's proceed further. Inheritance of Loss, written by Kiran Desai, the prominent writer in Indian writing in English. This is the second novel in the series. She published this novel in 2006. The story enters around the lives of Biju and Sai. Biju is an Indian living in the United States illegally, son of a cook. works for Sai's grandfather. Sai is an orphan living in the mountains Kalimpong with her maternal grandfather Zemubai Patel, the cook, and a dog. The novel explores the lives of the characters who are trapped in Indian class system. So the class system has been criticized here in Inheritance of Loss. The lower class and the upper class. There's a continuous tussle between the two classes. So this is the direct criticism on the class system in India. And so is the reason this novel received the topmost award. Kiran Desai is the daughter of Anita Desai. So let's proceed further towards the next novel here in the series, The White Tiger, which published in 2008, written by the Indian writing in English, the Indian writer Arvind Adiga. This is the story of Balram Halwai, and this word was asked in NEET examination. Remember this, never forget the name of the central character of this novel. Balram Halwai was asked in the examination. As a self-declared, self-made entrepreneur, he became businessman, a rickshaw driver's son who successfully climbed India's social ladder to become a successful businessman. Balram writes from his luxurious office in the city of Bengaluru, but the story begins in his rural ancestral village of Lakshmanghar. Throughout his childhood, Balram's destitute family lives at the mercy of the four cruels, exploitative landlords, referred to as the animals, the raven, the stork, the buffalo, and the wild boar in the novel. Despite the difficult life, Balram excels in the school. His academic potential distinguishes him from his classmates, bringing him to the attention of a visiting school inspector who nicknamed him the White Tiger after the most rare and intelligent creatures in the forest. So White Tiger again is the symbolic title given to this novel by Arvind Adiga. White Tiger means the intelligent boy, the clever student. And the tiger is none other than the intelligent student, the protagonist of the story, Balram Halwai. And so is the reason for this exceptional writing. Arvind Adiga received this award for the White Tiger, which is the rare and intelligent creature in the jungle. Let's proceed further towards the next and the third and the last section of today's presentation is the Nobel Prize. So Nobel Prize is the culmination of all awards in the world. This is the international award by Nobel Foundations in Stockholm and in Sweden, and based on the foundations of Alfred Nobel, the Swedish chemist, who invented nitroglycerine, which has been used in dynamite. The cash prize of Nobel Prize is $1 million. $1 million are approximately 7 crores in Indian rupees. So the cash prize is great. The Nobel Prize in Literature has been awarded 115 times between 2001 up to 2022. 119 individuals received this award for literature, and 102 men and 17 female writers received this award. So this is what objective information regarding the award. The prize has been shared between 2 individuals on 4 occasions. So the 4 times 2 individuals share the award. It was not awarded on 7 occasions, 7 times. The laureates have included writers in 25 different languages across the world. So this is Nobel Prize. This is the recognition. This is the culmination of the topmost awards in the world. Let's proceed further to study the select writers and their writings who received Nobel Prize, the topmost award. Again, these are the sample writings which I am presenting. I request you to search all the detailed novel and the novelist who received Nobel Prize in Literature to explore the various themes. Because the Nobel has been issued for the exceptional ideology in the writing, exceptional themes which the writers present. In 1907, the British writer having Indian origin, Rudyard Kipling, received this award. And his prominent work has been pinpointed here in the slide, entitled The Jungle Book, which he published in 1894. So this is the adventurous story of a man cub named Mowgli. This is the story of Mowgli, Bhalu, Bagheera, and Sher Khan. Mowgli is hunted by an evil tiger named Sher Khan. Sher Khan is the villainous person here in this story. He's the villain of the story. Mowgli is the hero of this story. He's protagonist and Sher Khan is antagonist. Tries to live a peaceful life with other humans, but is too wild for them and too humans for the wolves. Eventually, at the end of this novel, Mowgli finds a home in the forest with a pack of his own. He lives with all his friends in the forest. So this is the beautiful imagination of the writer. And for this exceptional writing, presentation, Rudyard Kipling received Nobel Prize in Literature. The next, this work originally is the work of poetry. This is not novel, but the theme is Indian sensibility. I have mentioned it here in this presentation. Rabindranath Devendranath Tagore received Nobel Prize in 1913 for his exceptional writing, the verse collection Song Offering to God Gitanjali, which he published in 1910. Approximately there are 157 poems in Bengali language. We translated it into English. 103 poems are there in English translation. Rabindranath Tagore received first Nobel Prize for India for Gitanjali, the exceptional writing, song offering to God. William Butler Yeats, the Irish poet, who is the recipient of the Nobel Prize in 1923, he wrote preface for it, and he said, "This is not Gitanjali, this is Bible." These were the feelings of W. Yeats for Tagore's poetry. In one of the poems, Rabindranath Tagore says, in the haven of freedom, where head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, into that haven of freedom, oh my father, let my country awake, are the sentiments. And one of the poems I still remember, which is an exceptional piece of literature ever written in the history of English literature, though it's a poetry, not the novel. And one of the poems, Tagore says, "To whom thou art worshipping in the dark corner of the temples was shutting all doors, open thine eyes, my friends, and see thy God is not before thee. He is there where children still the ground. He is there where pathmaker is breaking the stones. He is with them in sun and shower. If you really want to meet God, then put off your holy mantle, put off your clothes, and come into the dusty soil. You will find the real existence of God in the dust and not in the temple." It simply means that work is worship. जेव्हा आपण मंदिरात बसतो, गाभाऱ्यात बसतो, पूजा अर्चा करतो, आपले डोळे बंद करतो, आपले डोळे उघडा, आपला देव आपल्या समोर नाही हे तुम्हाला दिसेल. तुम्हाला खरंच देव पाहायचा आहे का? तिथे या ज्या ठिकाणी शेतकरी नांगर हाकलत असतो, तिथे या जिथे लोक रोड बनवताना दगड फोडत असतात, एकदा त्यांच्या सोबत काम करून पहा, त्या कामात तुम्हाला परमेश्वर दिसेल. देव मंदिरात नसतो, देव माणसाच्या कामात आणि कष्टात असतो. Is the exceptional philosophy which Rabindranath Tagore presented, and so is the reason he is the recipient of the first Nobel Prize for India in 1913 for his exceptional ideology in literature. Let's proceed further. Thomas Mann shared the Nobel Prize primarily because of his breakthrough novel, The Buddenbrooks, which he published in the year 1901. So Buddenbrooks, as the cover visualizes here, you can see it in the presentation, is a novel about the decline of a family. The story chronicles 4 generations of the German merchant family and their decline over that period. So this is the decline. which is the central theme, which Thomas Mann presented in his writing and received Nobel Prize in Literature. We must know all those such writings. So is the reason we can understand the different ideologies across the world. We can understand the way of life. It is not for the sake of examination, remember. It is for humanistic point of view that we have to understand different approaches of the life. We can understand different philosophies and ideologies from all over the world. And so is the reason why we study literature, because literature is the reflection of life. Let's proceed further because this is time-bound activity. In 1932, Jan Galsworthy received Nobel Prize for Literature. And remember his work, The Forsyte Saga. He is the best known for his trilogy of the novels, collectively called as the Forsyte Saga, and the two later trilogies, The Modern Comedy and The End of the Chapter. He won Nobel Prize in Literature in 1932. I request you to see these words. Go through it. Search the ideologies. Study the characters. By heart the publications. So that we will get better results. So that we can crack NET examination within the stipulated time. We are always with you in your struggle for quality. Let's proceed further to the next slide. William Faulkner received Nobel Prize in 1949. So William Faulkner was awarded 1949 Nobel Prize for Literature for his powerful and artistically unique contribution to the modern American novel. So what are the themes of William Faulkner? Go and search it. As this slide, as I told you, is a fleeting glance only. The next is Ernest Hemingway, who received Nobel Prize in 1954. So Hemingway's work explored love, war, wilderness, and loss. In 1952, he published Old Man on the Sea, a work that was praised by the Swedish Academy when awarding the Nobel Prize. So it is the story of an epic struggle between an old seasoned fisherman, his name is Santiago, and his life's greatest catch of fish. Santiago is an aged Cuban fisherman from Cuba. For 84 days continuously, he has set out to sea, but every time, he returned empty-handed, having nothing in his hands. And so his fisherman society treats him unlucky. So this is again the struggle of the person, struggle of the old man for survival, which the writer has presented here. This is the sea life which is depicted here in an exceptional way. And so Ernest Hemingway received Nobel in 1954 for his English writing. Let's proceed further. Albert Camus, an absurd writer, received Nobel Prize in 1957. So Albert Camus won the Nobel Prize in Literature for his novel The Stranger in 1957. The novel The Stranger by Albert Camus tells the story of Marcel, a French citizen living in Algeria, which at the time was a French colony. So you can visualize the cover page here. This is somewhat a different genre of writing, not meant for the common readers, for the exceptional reader, because the works are highly symbolic, written by Albert Camus. The next, Saul Bellow, is the recipient of the Nobel Prize in 1976. Whenever I read Saul Bellow, the great American writer, I remember his Harjok, which he published in 1964, which is the story of Harjok, the university professor, once again, who received gold medal, who was pursuing his doctoral thesis. He was doing a PhD student, an exceptional scholar. He divorced his first wife and married a second girl. Madeline Portrait was exceptionally beautiful and intelligent, but elopes with his friend Valentine Gersbach and leaving Harjok alone again in the life. Harjok decides to kill them. And having this intention early in the morning when he visits his friend's home, at the time, his friend was bathing his daughter. He imagined something in the mind. He pondered for some time and retraced, come back and wrote a letter of congratulations for his wife and his friend for happy married life. Okay, and the novel ends. So, my dear friends, this is what about This novel, The Adventures of Augie March, was published in 1953 again, is one more prominent work written here by Saul Bellow. The next is Gabriel Garcia Marquez, received Nobel in 1982 for his writings. He won Nobel Prize for Literature mostly for his masterpieces of the magic realism, and this novel is quite popular in literature. 100 Years of Solitude, published. 100 Years of Solitude, the history of the isolated town of Macondo and of the family who founds it, the Budians. So go and study it as our time is fleeting. Next is William Golding. He received Nobel in 1983. So William Golding was awarded Nobel Prize in Literature for his contribution to the understanding of the human nature through his novels. I remember his prominent work, Lord of the Flies, which is the symbolic work which he published in 1954, is the prominent work written by William Golding, Lord of the Flies, which presents symbolically the tussle between the two forces, the good and the evil forces in the life. Let's proceed further. We are at the end of this presentation now. Mario Vargas Laos received Nobel in 2010. So he's a Peruvian writer. Mario was awarded 2010 a Nobel Prize in Literature for his cartography of structures of the power and his transient images of the individual resistance, revolt, and defeat which the committee means said about him. He is known for his novel, The Time of the Hero, which he published in 1966. So request you to read this novel in detail, search it on the internet, see the story on YouTube. The next is a 2017 novel, Tukashio Ishiguro, originally from Japan. The writer is a British writer. Kashio Ishiguro was born in Nagasaki, Japan. His family moved to the United Kingdom when he was only 5 years old. Ishiguro received 2017 Nobel Prize for Literature because in the novels of the great emotional forces, he has uncovered the abyss beneath our illusory senses of connections with the world. There's an excellent remark for his literature. I request you to search his literature so that we can understand more about the world, more about literature. So it will be easy to pass the exam. So, my dear friends, the time has come to say you goodbye for today. But I humbly remember Tennyson's word to follow knowledge, like sinking star beyond the utmost bound of human thought. So pursue knowledge. We are with you in your struggle for quality. God bless you all. Never surrender before the situation. Thank you very much for being with me always. Jai Hind. Let's sing. Thanks again. I stop.